Meanwhile, Republican Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina delivered a forceful defense of NATO yesterday, slamming what he called the insane and stupid comments by top White House advisor Stephen Miller about taking Greenland. Take a look.
Folks, amateur hour is over. You don't speak on behalf of this U.S. Senator or the Congress. You can say it may be the position of the President of the United States that Greenland should be a part of the United States, but it's not the position of this government because we are a co-equal branch. And if that were to come to pass, there would be a vote on the floor to make it real. Not the surreal sort of environment that some deputy chief of staff thinks was cute to say on TV. So you want to get me back to thanking the president for all the good things he's doing? Then give him good advice. One of two things happened with Greenland. Either one, the president came up with the idea that maybe we should have Greenland as a part of our assets. And somebody said that's a great idea, versus saying, Mr. President, take a look at our alliance. Take a look at the most important alliance in the history of the United States, the NATO alliance. This could actually destabilize that, Mr. President. Mr. President, you should know at one point we had 17 military installations in Greenland, and they'd be happy to have us back. They're not refusing to have us have access to project power into the Arctic. We could do it without taking over a NATO country. That's the sort of advice that they should have been given. So if the president thought it was a good idea, then he needs the expertise to say, Mr. President, that's why this is not a good idea. And I would defy you to find any credible general with a star on his shoulder who would say that it is, because they understand that the NATO alliance is what has kept this nation largely, or this world, largely safe for over 75 years. The flip side could be that Mr. Miller or somebody else said, hey, this would be cool. Let's take over Greenland. It'll be like a big aircraft carrier. Well, that's stupid, too. And I'm sick of stupid. I want good advice for this president because I want this president to have a good legacy. And this nonsense on what's going on with Greenland is a distraction from the good work he's doing, and the amateurs who said it was a good idea should lose their jobs.
Let's bring in right now former U.S. Ambassador to Denmark, Rufus Gifford. He was senior aide to both Presidents Obama and Biden. It wasn't just Thom Tillis yesterday who said it. Senator John Kennedy from Louisiana said, I think he said this was weapons-grade stupid. All of us around the set yesterday said it was stupid while we were sorting through Venezuela. But Greenland, it's just not even a close call.
No.
It's not a close call because, as Thom Tillis said, the NATO alliance has been the strongest, most powerful, most effective, most forceful alliance in the history of the world. Brought down the Soviet Union.
That's right, Joe. I respect so much what Senator Tillis said yesterday. Frankly, I wish he had said it a year ago when the Trump administration was making their initial threats vis-a-vis Greenland. There's so much here. When I hear Secretary Rubio say yesterday that, we have the whole issue of national security in Greenland is a bogus claim. The idea that driving a stake through the heart of NATO, driving a stake through the heart of the best alliance the modern world has ever seen is good for our national security is just such a flawed, clueless, and senseless reasoning. And
now we have people that are saying, we're the predatory power in this hemisphere. It's so asinine. It's so, as a member of Congress who said that, it's just asinine, stupid. Sometimes you can say, this is frightening, this is it. No, it's just stupid. We're not predatory. We're not the most predatory. This is, they're reading comic books when they should actually read history.
That's right. And it absolutely would threaten the NATO alliance. So for more, let's go live now to Copenhagen, the capital of Denmark, and bring in MS Now international reporter Ines de la Quintara. Ines, you've been speaking with officials there. What are they telling you? Oh, actually,
not sure we have her audio.
We saw her for a moment. We're going to get her shot back in a second. So, Mr. Ambassador, I'll ask you. I know you stay in close contact with European leaders and particularly those in Denmark. There was a sense, as you sat down, you and I were talking, that maybe a year ago, people were sort of laughing this off. no longer. This feels very real.
Oh, very real to them, Jonathan. And I think it's. I would say you have to understand that from a Danish perspective, their relationship with the United States is the most important relationship in the world to them. And the way that they feel betrayed by both the rhetoric and now the actions of the Trump administration, it's like stages of grief. I think they're very sad, but they're also now getting extremely angry. And I am friends with everyone from the Danish Prime Minister and Foreign Minister to the King, and then others sort of on the Danish street. And I would say, especially my friends, I got a message, just the most powerful message from a Danish soldier, just as I was walking in today, just talking about, like, we don't ask for much. We bled alongside you. We did everything you ever asked us to do. They lost more people per capita in Afghanistan than any country in the world other than the United States. They don't ask for much, but they ask for truth and they ask for honesty. And they're not getting that from the Trump administration. So it's heartbreaking for them in many ways.
An extraordinary statement earlier this week by some of the NATO leaders, UK, France, Germany, others, saying to the U.S., hey, knock this off. Inez, I think we've reestablished your connection. Let's say, look, there you are. So give us the latest there, please, from Copenhagen.
Yeah, I mean, a real sense of concern here in Copenhagen. So I do think there are kind of everyday people who laugh it off, but officials are taking it quite seriously. So that meeting that Secretary of State Marco Rubio is having with Danish officials next week came at the request of the foreign ministers of Denmark and Greenland, who are really alarmed by what they're hearing and requested an urgent meeting. We heard from the Danish Prime Minister saying she takes President Trump seriously. She thinks he's serious about wanting to take Greenland. And then I have been in touch with a Greenlandic member of parliament. So this is one of two Greenlandic members of the Danish parliament here in Copenhagen. Her name is Aya Chermitz Larsen, and she says she firmly rejects what she is hearing coming out of the Trump administration. She says that Greenland is not for sale. She is calling on the U.S. to respect international law, and she says the future of Greenland should be decided by the people of Greenland. I think it's worth pointing out that a vast majority of the population in Greenland is Inuit, and there's a sense that they are kind of missing from this conversation. They were colonized by Denmark. There's a fear they could soon be colonized by the U.S. There has been a growing movement for independence in Greenland. And so she says, again, that's something we've heard coming out of Greenland, is the future of Greenland should be determined by the people of Greenland.
MS Now international reporter Ines de la Cuetara, live from Copenhagen. Thank you very much. Ambassador Gifford, the strategic alliances that make up NATO and extended partners that took 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years to develop can go up in flames in a moment.
Yeah.
If moves like this are made. The consequences are what?
I think that point is so important to make, Mika, because it speaks to something. It's my favorite word in the English language, and that is trust. And that is that's the fundamental work of diplomacy. And that is something that all of us, and myself, but so many of us who have worked in this space, value. Mm-hmm. And it did take us decades to build the level of trust that we have, in particular with our NATO allies. And what the Trump administration has done over the course of the last year is erode that trust at a pace that we've never seen before in American history. And we have to take this seriously. And this is why it impacts every single American. And that's why we have to be talking about it. Greenland may seem unimportant to a lot of people, but what it represents.
It's pulling the string.
That's right.
Unraveling a lot more than Greenland.
That's right. That's right. That's right. And I think you're going to see, again, you drive a stake through the heart of NATO. That empowers Russia. That empowers China. That empowers our adversary. So to make a national security argument here, even though I agree with everything Senator Tillis said, that they give us it all, even if we just sat across the table from them and did the hard work of diplomacy. But it's more than that. It is absolutely more than that.
And Mika, that's also the point. Danish officials have said time and again, do you want to open another military base? Do you want to put up another radar installation? Please, go ahead and do it.
Yeah, which makes this even more stupid, if that's possible. Former U.S. Ambassador to Denmark, Rufus Gifford, thank you very much for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Coming up, we're going to have more from those tense scenes out of Minnesota, where protesters right now are clashing with ICE agents following the deadly shooting of a woman yesterday by an ICE officer. More of that straight ahead on Morning Joe.
Right now.